has happened in the video game industry, and Microsoft has actually released a first-party exclusive for the Xbox One.
You know what, Chadworthy, you wouldn't have this problem on the Nintendo system. We only release first-party games.
Crackdown 3 was supposed to launch the One X, and it didn't, but now it's finally out, and I'm sure you've seen your fair share of reviews. You've already maybe played the game, but I'm the official Gamepass Cleaner.
Best game of all time.
There's a lot of negative press for a game that was released with such hype. There's almost animosity in the air, like people are mad at Microsoft for not releasing this sooner. I'm not gonna get too harshly on this game, because I believe the value of the game is tied in with the value of the dollar you spend on it, and even though that makes the marketplace rife with shitty titles, I didn't pay nothing for Crackdown other than my Game Pass subscription. But this could be a disturbing trend for Microsoft, and now it seems like Microsoft is able to maybe half-ass these titles because it justifies the freemium price of a Game Pass subscription. But that shouldn't be so. Should we be left worried the future of Gears of War and Halo coming on this freemium service will lower the standard of what these games have to offer? Or is this simply a case of maybe some people just don't like Crackdown and maybe some people do? I myself, ironically, am not really a fan of the series. I didn't like the first two. So it'll be very interesting to see what I have to say about the third, Crackdown 3, because they say Crackdown is addictive, but I have a high tolerance rate for bullshit.
I was really prepared to dump on Crackdown 3, but I started enjoying myself, and I gotta say, this game isn't as bad as the YouTube clickbait want you to see it as. For the value of Game Pass, it's actually pretty good. I don't know if I'd recommend buying it at full price, but Crackdown 3 is an experience, and it's one that I reluctantly enjoyed.
There's no one left to see. Crackdown 3 is absolutely amazing.
Well, I wouldn't use the word amazing for Crackdown 3. It's competent. It's Crackdown. It's something that I knew I would have to give a shot because like I said, didn't like the last two. So it's very strange that I found myself liking Crackdown 3. Microsoft and the developers Digital Sumo did a pretty good job. The world map is 3D, so you can see the verticality of where your missions are, something you couldn't do in the previous ones. Quite frankly, maybe I just sucked at Crackdown 1 and 2, but I felt like the game was just a cluttered mess. No, indeed, the only cluttered mess was in the game's navigating and menu system that I just didn't appreciate in the previous two. So because Crackdown 3 took the time to fix these problems, I'm gonna take the time to play this game. And what I found, I thoroughly enjoyed for the most part. The graphics are beautiful. I'm playing it on the base Duke Xbox One. I can only imagine how much more vibrant and colorful it is on One X. And like I said, the game's been tightened up. It looks and feels great. Jumping around reminds me of Mario 64 meets Sunset Overdrive. It's actually pretty fun just to fly around and shoot your jetpack and bounce and fall. And a couple of times the game made me feel like I was falling. That feeling in the pit of your stomach as you're dropping from a skyscraper while trying to get that last orb or racing to your next checkpoint in a rooftop-to-rooftop race. There's so many mini-games and little missions cluttered around the city, it'd be hard to get bored in this game, but it is repetitive.
It's original! It's awesome! You should appreciate the gameplay!
You gotta be prepared for a bit of a repetitive game. I do appreciate the combat, but it does feel PS2-ish with the lock-on system. Although I love how I'm not only going in and out of the city, but up and down. That's just a feeling of verticality you don't get in other games of its ilk, like Grand Theft Auto or, you know, Red Dead Redemption.
Nobody mentioned Red Dead Redemption! Stinger cheap!
Well, that may be true too. For the gamer on a budget, something like Crackdown is actually pretty fun. It's got a solid addictive single player mode with a lot of progression. The only gripe I have with this game is sometimes the challenging can be pretty frustrating. Luckily, there's 2-player online co-op. I guess that's okay. It would have been nice if it were like, you know, 6 players, 8 players, 10 players. Hell, I would have taken 4 players, but, you know, 2 players adequate, I guess. And that brings me to the multiplayer. Well, the technology just isn't as good as what Microsoft showed for the last 100 E3s. Yeah, you can blow up the buildings, but like Crackdown 2, there's no point. You know, you can't even invite your friends to these games. There's no custom lobbies, and it's a separate install. When you go on your hard drive, you see Crackdown 3, and then Wrecking Zone. Why? That's very rare replay-ish. Why can't it be in one neat little applicational package like most games? Most games multiplayer are not separate entities on your hard drive or dashboard like Crackdown 3. But that sums up Crackdown 3. It is a separate entity. It tries to be its own thing, and in some ways, like the multiplayer, it fails. In other ways, like the addictive single player, it's actually pretty fun. So long as you don't drop the full value of this game, which in Canada is $79.99, I think you could justify spending a few bucks on Game Pass playing Crackdown.
You're cheap.
Call me cheap all you want, but for the gamer on a budget, Crackdown 3 ain't half bad. Forget the YouTube clickbait hate. Give this game a shot. I hated the first 2, and I'm having fun with Crackdown 3. So what does that tell you? Good job, Microsoft. Just don't take 10 years to release the next one. For God's sakes, come out on a timely fashion, and you might actually have a franchise that people will care about.
Is this the best that the Microsoft can offer you, Chadworthy? Come back to Nintendo. We have the Mario. Well, that about sums up my feelings for Crackdown 3, and I guess as a summary, I'm not disappointed. I guess that's how high the bar Microsoft has set its gaming standard as of now, which, you know, should be a lot higher. Truly, I want it to feel more than not being disappointed, wouldn't you say? But as an Xbox owner, I'll take what I can get. And right now, Microsoft is literally throwing the scraps at us. But for scraps, Crackdown 3 wasn't bad. It's just, I'm still hungry, and I'm hungry for more. Next time we need a better multiplayer. Maybe one with a little more focus on co-op with more players. And one that doesn't take 6 years of development only for a game that is as good as not disappointing. Kudos to Digital Sumo and Microsoft for crafting a giant open world filled with tons of somewhat repetitive activities, but I for one thought collecting the orbs was quite addictive, and I can't wait to see what they have next. But in the meantime, Game Pass has to continue to strive for better, because if they want to compete with Sony's first party, they're just not at that level yet. Don't forget about Nintendo! Nobody ever remembers of the Nintendo! Ah yes, I don't think they'll ever be able to compete with Nintendo's first party. The best we can hope is that Microsoft can compete with Sony. After all, isn't that what this war was about in the first place? Crackdown 3, 7 out of 10. Am I right or am I right? Or am I right?